Good afternoon, Barry.
Hey, Darren.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, I am so glad. I know it's taken a few months, but I am so glad that we finally kind of got here today, because I know you're incredibly busy, and I know there's a lot of people that are really waiting to hear what you've got to say today. So for our listeners, welcome Barry to the Recruitment Marketing Sales Podcast, and I'm going to let you do a bit of a longer introduction to yourself, just a little bit of background. But essentially, you are the owner, MD. You're an ex-recruiter and a qualified lawyer, and Reclaw is your business that is just going from strength to strength right now. And so, before we kind of talk about what today's conversation is going to cover, because there's so much that we could talk about when it comes to law, isn't there? Maybe just, for the sake of the listeners, just share a little bit about your background and how you came to, set up Reclaw.
Wow, that's a conversation and a half.
The abbreviated version.
Yeah, exactly. Try to find a shorter one. So I'm Barry Cullen. I'm a solicitor for the recruitment industry and a founder of a firm called Reclaw. We're the self-styled lawyers to the recruitment industry. That's the sort of thing we are. Wow. I was also an engineer. That was the plan.
Well, I didn't know that. An engineer.
Yeah. I was going to be an engineer. It turns out my maths was nowhere near good enough. And for that career point, the degree didn't even last very long. So I, like most of us in this lovely industry of ours, I fell into recruitment. And, spent 3.5, 4 years working for the resource recruitment consultant during the .com bubble and the year 2K, testing period. It was never good enough. It was never good enough. So it's recruitment to get what my mum calls a proper job. When I studied law and became a lawyer,
Right.
as a result of that, in recruitment, all of my working members were in recruitment, and therefore my phone calls became recruitment. So I sort of knocked around doing more general practice, and then ultimately came to realise it was next. I live and breathe recruitment. I know it, but I know why don't I just do that?
Yeah.
I went in the house. What was then Lawrence Harvey, became LHI Group, and I was there general counsel for 4 years. And then decided at that point, the stars have aligned, and it's time to set up my own firm. And that's for Reclaw, which celebrated its third birthday maybe last week.
Congratulations.
And now I completely forgot that until just now, actually. And we're, what are we? We're 11 of us now. And as you say, growing and growing. Hopefully adding another person in the next few months. And that's ultimately us. The recruitment industry's problem solvers or enforcers, more likely.
I love that. Yeah, the recruitment industry law enforcers. I like that. Now, of course, there are no doubt sort of many different kind of parts to the whole legal conversation, isn't there? And and we're going to try and kind of condense that into almost 30 minutes. But just thinking about the market as it is today, we've still got people who are startups. We've got people who started I guess during COVID times, and they're a couple of years in. And then we've got the whole spectrum of, certainly, the kind of clients that we work with, incredibly experienced, been around for a long time, still looking to grow, to whatever level that might be. And then we've got, bigger organizations and people are experiencing different kinds of challenges with the market right now. But I guess irrespective of size, every business will have some legal requirements, some requirements that they need to put in place to protect their business now and as they're growing. And so maybe, a great start for today's conversation is, to just think about, if I could say, well, look, think about your kind of client and the kind of journey that they go on as they're growing and what their legal needs are to so they put themselves in the strongest position right now, wherever they are, and then how they evolve that. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. And much like you, we've got clients that start up, first week, first month. Some have actually been started yet. Then we've got others that are in that early startup phase still,
Yeah.
phase, or much more established. From one to two people in an agency to 100 or 200 people in an agency,
You should say.
and everything in between.
Yeah.
You're entirely right. Everybody at some point in their recruitment career will have some sort of legal issue. Whether they're lawyers involved in it or not, there's some sort of legal issue, and just empowering yourself, as whether it's a business owner or an individual recruiter within a business, empowering yourself to have the right tools to deploy at the right time is invaluable. Invaluable. Because otherwise you do all the hard work and don't get paid, right? Which is not ideal.
Well, it's not. It's not when we know that for many companies, contingency is still their main source of income. So they're already regularly doing a lot of work and not getting paid. So then it's kind of like a bitter pill, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're expecting to get paid, not get paid.
Yeah, exactly. When you're contingent and you don't get paid on the ones that you should get paid on,
Absolutely.
rather than just the ones you didn't close.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll talk about it from the life cycle of a typical client for us.
Right.
I think that covers most of those cases. Because if we're the starting point, we assume it's a startup. Assume it's a startup. What typically happens is with the two recruiters who are freshly minted directors of their freshly incorporated recruitment company, and they come to us and they normally say, we've had some nasty letters from our previous boss. What are we meant to do?
Yes.
So the allegation of breach of employment restraint. Most people don't come to us saying, I want to get away with it. Most of them come to us saying, I want to know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. And if I'm going to agree to anything, I want to make sure I'm agreeing to what I should agree to. So it's that sort of advice that most people want. Massively sensible thing to do. Understand what those restraints are, because there's this wonderful fallacy within the recruitment industry. I think it's a wonderful fallacy because it makes me lots of money. That's why it's a wonderful fallacy. But there's this fallacy in the recruitment industry that restraints aren't enforceable, or restraints aren't worth the paper they're written on. We love that. We love that because they are enforceable. They're well drafted, well deployed, and if the employer doesn't make some of the typical mistakes we see, they're enforceable. And the fact that one thinks they're not means that people breach them more often, which means we end up getting more work. It's a lovely case. So it's a really sensible starting point. Someone to have a look. It doesn't have to be us. Obviously, I prefer it was. It doesn't have to be us. But get somebody to actually look at the restraints, physically analyse them, because most of the time these things are written by lawyers. They're massively verbose, and they're really difficult to understand. So, the starting point, you need some help to understand what they mean. To make sure you're not tripping up. And the second point is then for someone to say either they are reasonable and therefore enforceable, or they're not. In this space, we should talk about restraints here, not just lawyers. Armies of lawyers that apply their whole careers from the day they're qualified to the day they're retired, just dealing with post-employment restraints. It's massively contentious.
Wow.
Law, and one that makes lawyers a lot of money. So we won't bore everyone with the full details. Broadly speaking, it's what I call the mum test. If your mum knew what you were doing, would she be embarrassed?
Right.
And if it falls into that category, you probably should be taking a look at yourself and having a little think about
what you're doing.
Exactly. Because restraints broadly work like this. The starting point is you can't prevent somebody from carrying out their chosen trade or profession. That's the starting point. Those liberal ideals are sort of diluted down by generations of lawyers. Went, but what about, and what about, and how about, and what about, and carving away at it. So the state of the law now effectively is, and you can't restrain somebody from their chosen trade and profession where the purported restraint goes no further than reasonably required to protect a legitimate business interest.
Right.
Nice long sentence. Everyone understands all of the words in that sentence. Only the lawyers apply their trade on saying what that sentence means in any given fact in any given time. Basically, here's the short layperson's version.
Yep.
Your employer can't overreach. Okay? If they try to put you on a restraint for 100 years, then that's clearly unreasonable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
What a judge won't do is say 100 years is unreasonable, put a line through that and change it to 1 year. Okay? What a judge will do is say that's unreasonable, therefore not enforceable, and will knock that whole restraint out.
Ah.
And that's where the balancing exercise is.
Comes.
People, when they're gauging these things, they need to consider for this employee at this level that we're hiring and putting into this role in this market, what is a reasonable period of time to restrain them from clients, from candidates, from contractors, from suppliers, from key staff of the agency, all those sorts of side of things.
Yeah.
There's 101 mistakes you can make as an employer. What if we're looking to the outgoing employee, that life cycle something coming to us for that person for advice.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do. What's enforceable, what's not enforceable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the first thing they normally do. The next thing they do is they say, we've heard we probably need a shareholders agreement. Yeah? And the shareholders agreement is effectively, as the name suggests, it's an agreement that governs the relationship between the shareholders and the company and the shareholders themselves. It says what you can and can't do as a shareholder. Certain decisions, things like, if somebody wants to hire someone, if one's going through a contract on behalf of the company, what rights do they have to do that? Where they have the permission of more than one shareholder. It also then potentially has its own restraints and what have you.
Right.
Usually, I usually say people don't have a shareholders agreement. Yep. And everyone else tells me to get one. I say, because everyone else is first lawyer. I'm listening. I don't want you to have a shareholders agreement. If you have a shareholders agreement, then when you fall out with your business partner, and at some point you will, and there's a document there which sets out everything very clearly, and everybody knows what they have to do. With one of those, it makes it very difficult as a litigator to make a lot of money. As I said, you should really get one.
Yeah.
I say with my tongue in my cheek, don't bother, because I can charge one of you a lot more money in a couple of years when it all falls apart. People's motivations change, people's drivers and objectives change.
Yeah.
Look, people get married and then often get divorced, right? So,
of course you do. Yeah.
If you do that marriage, you can definitely do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think to make sure those rules of engagement are very clear, and that's all the shareholders agreement does.
And also, I guess, when you're setting out in business, you will have certain thoughts about, we're okay to have a single person make a decision on this, but then these are the kind of things that we want to have joint decisions on. But when you're starting out, or even when you're in the early couple of years of your business, you can't possibly anticipate what might be individual and collective decision making further down the line, can you? So
100%. And also on day -1 of starting up a business, or day 0, or day 1, or week 1, or whatever it is, when there's no money available and there's no money on the table, it's much easier to negotiate what the business looks like, what its structure should be, how it should work, what the rules of engagement are at that point. And to tell you, once the business is worth $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, $50 million, it's much harder. Because it's a real thing. You're not all necessarily on the same path anymore.
No.
We often get people come to us saying, we set up a company, there were 3 of us, and we're all directors, we're all equal shareholders, one of them's not doing their way, how do we get rid of him? And they say, well, where's the shareholders again? I mean, we haven't got one, I go for it. It's your fortune. Because it's truth, right?
Yeah.
With a shareholders agreement, it just makes it easier, because you can point at it and go, here's what we agreed would happen in this situation.
Yeah.
When we have these directors can now serve you notice to buy your shares off you, or whatever it might be, you set out those rules in advance.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, right, this is how it works.
Got you. Yeah.
Restraint, shareholders agreement, next conversation is always terms of business.
Well, That's I
Sorry.
think that's kind of like no. I was just going to say when it comes to T&Cs, I think that's the area that we in our kind of like Facebook group with clients and stuff. That's where people are saying, what about this and what about that, and questions, and anybody got what do you say in your T&Cs, and this is a real one where there's a lot of questions going on.
Business as usual.
Yeah.
Beginning with starting up. It's not so much every what should I be doing within my business to make
Yes.
sure I get paid and it's all dealt with fairly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's partly good. It's our commercial team do. So we use a little plug there. We can definitely support on that side of things. But what we normally find is 9 times out of 10, maybe even 95 times out of 100, these people that set up their own business have normally nicked their terms from their previous boss. Or nick them offline somewhere.
Yeah.
Gone, oh, here's a set of terms. They work for my boss. They must be okay.
Yeah.
Well, what they don't realise is their boss did the same thing 5 years before, and their boss did that 5 years before, and nobody's actually looked at them since day dot.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah. So they may be massively out of date, may not be up to date with the latest regulations, they may not be up to date with the latest best practice within the recruitment space, and they often just don't work. We see from time to time, we still see, and I love this, a set of terms. Recruiter comes to us, oh, I'm owed money by X, Y, Z. Yeah, cool. Send us all the documents, we send it to you. And they've got a city logo at the top of their company name. And it's got all this lovely stuff. It looks great, and it all really works. But then on page 3 or 4 or 5, they've got bored, and they've stopped remembering to change their old company name to their new company name. So their old employer's name is still in the terms somewhere.
Oh no!
That's always fun. Or people that are using document automation, AI-driven, LLM-driven drafting, and pulling together this weird Frankenstein document, which is all written in English, but part German law, part French law, part English law, because they don't know. And I feel this is love in my heart as a failed recruiter. A lot of recruiters, they don't know what good looks like.
No.
So when you put a bad contract and a good contract in front of them, they both start as contracts. They don't know what good looks like.
No.
And so when a model throws them a document, they go, great, that must work. And then they find out it doesn't work when they come to us 6 months later, after and recover some money for them.
It's that classic thing, isn't it? That, whatever area we're talking about, whether it's law, whether it's marketing, there's always going to be times when you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And unless you go and have a conversation and you talk to someone who does know and is the expert, that things then kind of like, I guess, get highlighted, don't they?
Yeah. And it's little things. Like there's some really easy wins that happen in your terms, right? And things like most people are going to have conditional fees.
Yeah.
We, as a perm recruiter, if a candidate drops out in the first 2 weeks to give you money back, probably 100%, or then a put off rebate, and that's all pretty standard. And what's also pretty standard within most recruitment firms is those rebates being conditional, and often conditional on the client paying the bill on time. Or the client telling you that they've hired the person. Pick up for me and then get a rebate as well. And pay the bill on time, and all of these little conditions that are attached to these rebates are really, really useful. They're useful for a number of reasons. Right? Number one, it can do a rebate. Number two, it can be a really good credit control lever. So your client, you might be on 14-day terms, and your fee rebate might be conditional payment on time, and you're on day 15, and your bill hasn't been paid. So what you could do to your client at that point is say, hey, look, just so you know, because you're late on your invoice, that rebate provision, if it doesn't work out, it won't apply anymore.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if you get it paid today, or get it paid by the end of the week,
I'll
reinstate that for you.
Yeah.
I'll still honour it.
Yeah.
As long as you don't die.
Right.
Tomorrow, this week.
Yeah.
Control lever, right? You're showing them the stick, you're giving them a way out, right?
Yeah.
And that's a really nice business as usual way of levering these things. And another one that we don't see enough of, and I shout about this one from the rooftop, is conditional fee discounts. Yeah. So a lot of people, if you're in the UK as a contingent recruiter, you could probably count on one hand the amount of times you've done a deal at standard rate. Yeah, without time, it's far worth of 30, it's far worth of 25, how about 15, how about 16, 17, 18?
Yeah.
Whatever it is in your particular state,
Yeah.
you generally won't be working on full rate. It's not a conditional fee discount provision within your terms. You're effectively saying, our standard terms are 25%. We've agreed to discount for those to 20% for you on conditions that, much like rebates, you pay the bill on time. You tell us when you're hiring somebody. Yeah, all of these different the same conditions, because then if
Yes.
they don't tell you, I mean, why should the client get a discount if they backdoored you?
Well,
Why should the client get a discount if they not pay the bill on time?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
see what I mean? So
Yeah.
having those conditions in there means what you can then do is turn around and say, oh, sorry about that. You know, that 100 grand placement, 20 grand fee, it's not 20 grand anymore, or 15 grand anymore, it's 25 grand.
Yeah.
And if it's a good relationship, you can use that as a lever again.
Yes.
You know, I work full fees, so if you're going to pay today, we'll honour the discount.
Yeah.
You know, so you look like you're showing them a big stick, you're being a good girl or a good guy that's going to them. You know what, I didn't look after you, so this relationship means more to me.
Well, exactly. That was the thing I was thinking, is that, you know, what it made me think about there is, rather than getting into kind of like tension and friction and that impact in the long-term relationship. And, you know, sometimes these relationships, they are long-standing, aren't they? That what you're offering here is a way of preserving that, and so that can continue in the future. Business will come as well. You know, and I guess, you know, also client side, let's say, you know, the recruiter's client side, you know, things happen. We always know people are human, mistakes do get made, there's genuine things, but even those genuine things, you know, cross lines, don't they? You know, and if somebody's on holiday, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, and their finance person, you know, who was meant to be covering, something had happened, nobody had been covered, so of course their invoices had not been paid, had they? And they were having to wait another week for said financial person to come back from holiday. So, you know, but that's going to potentially impact, you know, contracts and rebates and everything, isn't it? You know, so
imagine their temp.
Oh, well,
you know,
God,
100 grand invoice on 10 grand of that, you've got to pass on to somebody else that's doing the work.
Yeah.
And now you've not been paid on time. You've still got to pay those temps, right?
Yeah.
And if you're self-funding it, and some people do self-fund it.
You do self-fund.
That's a lot of money you're going to find, right?
A lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say that's really important. Another little trick to go with that, actually, with the conditional fee discount. It doesn't work for everybody, right? It doesn't work for everybody because some people's accounting systems won't let them do it. Other people, it might cause them VAT reporting challenges and what have you.
Right.
So check with your accountant, check with your finance too, whether it's possible before you do this. So you might get to put that discount on the invoice itself. So to use the example I gave you, you know, 25 grand, so 100 grand placement, 25% is the standard, £25,000 fee. Yep. So you do that, you know, placement of Jane blogs, at £25,000. Then the next line on the invoice, timely payment discount, minus £10,000. So the total on the invoice is £15,000, 15 plus VAT, but that timely payment discount in there. And I tell you why that's really useful as a practical tip is this. If your client has a proper accounts payable team, even if they don't, even if they use software for accounts payable, what normally happens is your email with the invoice gets stripped off the email. It's subbed into an accounts payable system.
Yeah.
And then you've got an accounts payable clerk or whatever their job title might be. The invoice is going, pay today.
Of course.
They're not going to be looking back at the terms of business.
No.
They're considering anything other than the invoice in front of them.
What's in front of them?
The invoice in front of them says, you know, pay this one by the 11th of April, picking today's date, pay this one by the 11th of April, else is £10,000 less. Guess what? That's the one getting paid today, not the one that doesn't. Even though the other one might have the same power and the same consequence of being late, they're going to look at that one and be more likely to pay it faster.
Yeah.
And it also thinks with other things. like this was always said to me by my training partner many years ago, who said, if you ever give a client a discount, remind them at every opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So you give them a quote, they want a discount. When you do your contract, make sure you're going to keep saying in the contract that there's a discount. When you make your invoice, make sure it's clear there's a discount.
Yeah.
Just make, then they know they're getting it. It doesn't just become normal to them.
Yes. I love that.
Kind of make them understand that you're doing
Yeah.
them a bit of a favour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, and the reality is, I think in our industry, you know, well, and not just our industry, I think, you know, people love a discount, don't they? It's like yeah. Oh, well, that's a great bit of advice. That I wonder
Yeah,
how many
it's
people
a good
actually
one.
do that currently.
Yeah, well, I was it was November. I was out doing November, and I saw a client I had not spoken to for ages, and I said, why haven't we seen you for ages? What basically work by work? Why haven't you given us any work? And he went, oh, you know that thing you said about putting discounts on your invoices? I went, yeah. He said, nobody's not paid since because they see that and they
Yeah.
the invoice. I
Yeah.
was like, hang on, I could stop telling people this. It's not about work.
There's going to be lots of other issues they can come to you with, Barry.
We'll fix everything else instead. Thinking about the human being that is dealing with this thing, what's their motivation and what's their driver. Like you call a call centre, a call centre bank, right? And you're calling it because you've got a problem with your phone or your bank account or whatever it is, and you need your problem fixed.
Yeah.
The human on the other side doesn't really care about fixing the problem. Their motivation is to get you off the phone as quickly as possible, because then that's another call answer and get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the sort of thing that I'd have in mind.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Yeah, so that's really useful. And then next comes training humans, right? But in training humans, most
To implement the terms.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
not
Right.
just to implement, to understand them. Yeah, to understand them is the starting point. Because
Yeah.
I tell you what, a lot. I was trying to come up with a stat. I'm not going to come up with it all the time. Let's just say the overwhelming majority of disputes that our team have to deal with when it comes to fee disputes is caused by the human in the process, not by the contract, not by anything else.
Yeah.
Often that comes about, if we are going to hate it. So many times we go, oh, I knew him really well, so I didn't send our terms.
I know.
What? So you want me to go and see someone on a contract that they've never even seen? Okay, yeah, let's give it a go. This is going to be fun. And in my experience, most people that don't send terms or don't talk about terms with their clients, it's because they're scared of them. Because they've been with some lawyer in what we call legalese, ridiculous words that most humans have actually spoken. And they don't understand what they mean, and they don't understand, so therefore they're not comfortable talking about them. They're definitely not comfortable negotiating them. And they'd rather just pretend they didn't exist.
Yeah.
So training your people and making sure they are comfortable with understanding what the terms are, how they work, what points should be negotiable, what points should be sort of red lines, what they should be putting up to more senior people to get a sign off on, that sort of thing. Massively powerful. If your people know what your contract means and how it works, your clients are going to be much more accommodating. I'm doing somebody knows what they're talking about here. And so that would be my next tip. Right, train your people properly on how to use them. And then the next after that is train them how to resolve disputes or how to handle disputes. Because there's a problem within the recruitment industry, not the whole recruitment industry. There's a problem within some parts of the recruitment industry where people jump off a cliff very quickly. So they very quickly go from a perceived grievance, to full throttle, two big start showing in at the knees.
Going in like heavy-handed. Going in heavy-handed.
So they pick up the phone 6 times ago, I can't believe you've done this to me, all that work I did for you, sending an invoice over to the client, if there's 7 days into this year, all that sort of stuff. if they just chilled out for a minute and
Mm.
remembered resolving disputes is just like sales. It's a sales process. Yeah?
Mm.
You need to identify what the problems are and then find solutions for those
To the
problems.
problems. Yeah.
You won't find out what those solutions, what those problems are by having a go at someone. You need to engineers. I mean, we all thought this, right? I imagine you were sort of saying so. You have 2 years of one mouth.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
You use them in that ratio. I mean,
Yeah.
I would prefer if we had 10 years of one mouth and used them in that ratio. One of these.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weird look, I got it.
Yeah.
Listening is so much more important than talking. When you're in the dispute, much like in a sales process, you just got to listen to everything,
Yeah.
everything that's not said, and identify what the issues are. I'll
Do
give
you
you
know?
a case in point. Sorry, go on.
Because no, I was just going to say before you gave the example is what
Yeah.
it reminds me of is what you described right at the beginning when you were talking about, sort of like contracts, shareholder contracts and things. Is that it's a business relationship, but it's like a marriage, and marriages break up and sort of business relationships, and
Yeah.
I suppose what it's making me think about is in the law world, you guys have there's mediation, isn't there? You could go through mediation,
Yeah.
if you're breaking up a marriage or whatever it is, and that's a process that a lot of people will go through. And really, what you're talking about here is dispute resolution, but it makes me think it's the same thing. It's like it's asking questions to understand what the issue is and the
Yeah.
consequences of that before then we think about solving it, as you say, and I never thought about it as like it mirrors the sales process, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Hugely does.
yeah.
Hugely does.
You were going to share an example then.
Yeah, so we had a client, or have a client. They're a tech recruiter. They placed somebody when the fee was, I want to say, 19,800 and change.
Yeah.
I always remember the numbers. And they had been banging their head against a brick wall trying to get this money paid for nigh on 6 months.
Wow. Right.
They didn't pick it up and asked us to take over. We take over. I send a friendly email. One of my colleagues actually sent a friendly email over to them and said, look, we've been instructed. Our client to come and get this money. We understand there's an issue. Let's have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just figure it out. We got on the phone. It was the HR director for this business. And I said, hey, look, yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm interested to recover this money, but I completely get it. I've only got one side of the story at the moment.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you what the issue is here, why the fee is payable.
Yeah.
And then I just it was music to my ears because she turned around, loveliest woman in the world, who'd been fighting tooth and nail with my recruiter for 6 months, and got on the phone. She was as nice as pie. Said, "Do you know what, Barry? I'm really quite embarrassed by this situation because I know your clients should get paid. I know we owe this money.
Yeah.
But the problem is my CEO won't sign it off because he's got a problem with them about something else. And because he's got a problem with them about something else, he's not willing to sign off this invoice." And I said, "Oh, that's a shame. Does he have to sign off all the invoices? Because they were quite a big business. I was surprised."
Yeah.
I said, no. It's just because of the threshold. The invoice is over £15,000, and because it's over £15,000, he has to sign it off. And I said, "Oh, that's a pain. So if it was less than £15,000, you'd be able to sign it off yourself." She said, "Yeah, wouldn't be a problem." I said, "I think I've got a plan." But what's that? I said, "I'm going to get that invoice credit noted, and then I'm going to send you 2 different invoices for half the amount each. And then you can sign those both off, can't you?" And she thought about it and went, "Yeah, that works. Can you do me a favour though? Can you just put them a week apart? So it's not so obvious." "That's fine."
Yeah.
So time. Right, there you go. Put it note that one off. Give me 2 more invoices a week apart. Let's get it done. Set the money up, paid within the week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's seeking to understand, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Seek to understand. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of where. Yeah, so that would be, terms right, train your people on understanding the terms and how to resolve disputes. When to push things upstairs is equally important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can have a conversation, like your consultant can have a conversation with the hiring manager and get nowhere. And then you can push up to a manager or a team leader, and they could speak to a mid-tier person at the time.
The side.
Again.
Yeah.
It still doesn't work. Then you could go up to a more senior, like associate director and director. And those escalation points are really valuable. I talk about it's really difficult to unfuss the big red button.
Yeah.
If the big red button of I'm going to do you is sort of de-escalate from there. Whereas regular contact and escalation, not pressure of sorts, but in a calm way, where you need to be a lot more easily.
Yeah.
And eventually you get to the right level of person where they get it and they're willing to engage and resolve it.
Yeah.
And they're empowered to make a decision. And the further away you get from the humans that were involved in the original situation as well, the less emotional baggage there is as well.
Of course,
your consultant and their hiring manager probably don't feel really strongly about it.
Yeah.
Your manager or associate director and their director care less about the emotions of what right and wrong is.
Yeah.
The money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Having an escalation process, having an understanding of here's what we do, a playbook, if you will.
Yeah.
Here's what we do. If that doesn't work, we move in this direction.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work, we move in this direction.
Yeah.
If that still doesn't work, you come to Reclaw and we go and do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Half an hour has flown by, and yet there's some absolute gems in there for everybody that's going to be listening. So thank you for that. Is there any last little gem that maybe you've not mentioned that you think, do you know what? There's just one thing I want to leave people with. What might be that one extra thing?
I like that. But beyond using your ears more and listening and not assuming you know it all, I'll mention a product we've got, which is probably the right thing for it. So apologies for this, but we've got a product called Reclaw. So it's a product called Reclaw.net. It gives you the best in class terms. It trains your salespeople. It also does all the recovery letters and everything else, and it's a subscription service. So I'm describing it as an out-of-the-box legal function for recruitment.
Yeah.
Well worth checking out, because within that, we'll fix the terms, we'll train your people, we'll tell you the recovery functions done. We even do legal clinics so that recruiters can come in and just ask those questions and want to get on.
Good idea.
We need to go off the lawyers every time.
Yeah.
Well, they ask me lawyers, so they can talk. We have to go and get off a lawyer every time.
Every time,
it's all part of the same subscription.
So what was that web domain again, Barry?
Recprotect.net.
Recprotect.net. Fantastic.
I think recprotect.com is an insurance broker for caravans in Canada.
How annoying. Yeah. Now, actually, can I ask you one question? Because there was a question that I thought about as you were chatting. So something that we're seeing increasingly more of, obviously, is clients going out into markets outside the UK. I was chatting with a client literally this morning, who really, concentrates in Germany and a particular, East Coast states, let's say. And I know that this is a growing trend, people looking to, expand, etc. So, of course, I guess then that's going to have implications when it comes to T's and C's.
Definitely.
So yeah, what's the general advice then? If you've got a UK-based company that is, providing candidates out into other markets, and they may have a legal entity in another market, and they may not. They may have a UK-based client that's got an operation out in, let's say, in America, and of course they're providing, a candidate to that business that is actually going to operate out in the States. So,
no, I get that. And the starting point on that is don't let the legal tail wag the commercial dog.
Yeah.
I would love to say, the law says this, the law says that, do this, do that. But the reality is, I only deal with, and my team only deal with those small element of dispute that needs a lawyer, and needs a lawyer in England and Wales, and actually come to us. Right? So I'd love to say that every dispute is not under the sun, but it's not. There is a small sliver of it, which must mean most disputes are resolved before lawyers are even involved, before you even look at the contract.
Yeah.
So the commercial opportunity is brilliant, and you may well just be willing to take more commercial risk and more legal risk around it because of the return on investment.
Okay.
Point, right?
Yeah.
Commercial to drive the decision, but then you can get legal to do what it can to mitigate any risk. And minimize
Yeah.
the risk.
Got
So
you.
what I would say, what we're predominantly talking about here is the jurisdiction and the law that governs a contract and the jurisdiction that decides any dispute. Yeah? What you
Yes.
think of is this. Would you be happy taking a client to court or defending yourself in court in that foreign country? Yeah? You would, because you've got you might have the operational backbone and you might have the legal support in Germany or the East Coast, or wherever it might be, and you feel comfortable, then that's fine. Yeah? So if you don't, then it's tough enough going to court in England. Yeah? Then you don't go to court in a foreign country, in a foreign language, which is often what they play out. You know? That's the thing to be aware of. Not wary of.
No,
aware of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We often get clients that go to the US and they go, oh, do we need a new version of our terms for every state in the US?
Yeah.
Because no, you choose where you do your business from.
Right.
And you give two examples there, right? UK-centered recruiter operating ad hoc in other countries, speaking, English and Welsh law, courts of England and Wales, and then trade that way. You've got a legal entity in country, you might have people in country. There might be a commercial expectation that you're holding yourself out as a German entity and a German business, or your clients might to be German contracts.
Yeah.
And that's a commercial decision, right? The commercial decision is we will get more business potentially because we're using German contracts for our German entity, and therefore your commercially might say therefore it's worthwhile doing that.
Got you.
Aware that you're use German lawyers, German process.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's great.
There's no legal obligation on you to say I'm placing into Germany, therefore it must be a German contract.
Right. Okay. That's good to know. That's great. Lovely. Thank you for that one. So listen, thank you so much for your time. Lots of gems that you shared there. I think it was a great way to do it actually in that life journey of a client as well. People can pick up lots of different things from, and I'm sure it'll make some people think who aren't in startup stage, have they got some of those things in place in the way that they need to have? So,
but also that starting point, and think of the other side of that starting point, because
absolutely.
5 and 6 years, that's the point where they'll hire staff who then ultimately leave, and they need to decide what to do about the team. Right?
Yes, absolutely. No, that's the good point. Yeah. So listen, thank you so much. It's been great catching up. And I'm sure we will, we are kind of like getting together pretty soon later this month, I think, as well, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
So listen, we'll speak soon.
Looking forward to it.
Take care.
See ya.